Salt or the cold?
I think it's the cold.
Yeah. I always, it's funny because I see, dogs that are, Great Pyrenees and all that are fine in the cold.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but your paws, I'm like, how are your paws not cold? And like standing
Yeah.
So, all right. Any questions from the week or anything, or? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think that she's been doing really well. I'm really glad we practiced the distractions last time the way we did because, especially with like other dogs, she definitely like gets more nervous and like tries to like go towards them. So we like practiced like me trying to go like put my body between her and the dog, and that was a lot better. And she was just like a lot better with her auto sit and everything else too. And we just kind of, I think we did better at like just keeping the commit, like keeping it higher.
Sure. To keep it more consistent.
Yeah, and not having to like try and mess around with it too much, especially with it being super cold outside.
Yeah.
So I think that was really helpful.
And some people have noticed the change in their dog's obedience with the cold, because some dogs get kind of spazzy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they get really excited with the snow and stuff.
Yeah.
And then like their numbers have gone up a lot or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but good. So this one will be easy. You can practice indoors.
Okay.
This is the beginning of duration work.
Okay.
It also allows you to target whining if there's any whining and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because there's a reference point. You can correct. There's two ways of whining, correcting that. One is just correcting it in itself with no reference point, and the other is with a reference point. So like dogs that are used to moving a lot.
Yeah.
Or want to move a lot.
Like Rosie, like she's one that likes to just move around. Yeah.
Is when you put them under command like this where they cannot move for a period of time, it really creates conflict in the brain.
Okay.
Because they want to move.
Yeah.
So it's like a kid, like for me growing up, going to church,
Yeah.
as a little kid, like you want to fidget and move and all that stuff, but you can't, you have to be quiet or whatever for that hour. It's the same thing for the dog. So especially if they're a dog that's really conditioned to move or is overstimulated, this is a nice counter to them to teach them like you can relax.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions before we get started?
Would we use this in like any situation where she's kind of like having that anxiety, or like for example, like if Joe's going like outside or like to run across the street to Walgreens or something, she's been like really annoying, like whining like a ton and like just pacing back and forth and like.
So you can actually just correct that.
Okay.
Because what's happening is there's too much attachment to him.
Okay.
And that's what's causing that anxiety.
Okay.
So it's really teaching her to be indifferent.
Okay.
So think of it as if a dog is barking out the window, a lot of people resolve that by calling the dog away from the window. But then once the dog has completed that task, what do you think happens?
He goes back to the window and starts barking.
Yeah, because nothing said don't bark out the window. Okay? So let's say you called her or you did place her and stuff.
Yeah.
It could resolve that problem. But if she's not on place, she's still gonna do it.
Okay.
Okay? So
yeah, that
here,
makes sense.
another dog, if her behavior annoyed that dog, they would nip or bite her.
Okay.
To say like, stop being whiny and attached.
Yeah.
Right? So what I'll do is, at the end of the class, I'll talk about an alternate means of correction.
Okay.
And I'll send you some videos to watch to help kind of give you a visual of how to apply it. Okay? Tell me if it gets too hot in here. This place is a little either too hot or too cold. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to teach Rosie what we call the send. Okay? The send is when Rosie goes from here to there. Okay? And we're going to put, of course, pressure behind it, and we're going to teach you what pressure first. Does she have like a go to bed or a place command home that you use?
We use bed or house.
Sure. Okay. Is house going to her crate or is it going to a bed?
Her crate.
Okay. So you may want to have a different command.
Okay.
You can use bed, which is like go to a dog bed, or whatever, what have you, and then house can remain kind of like for the crate, just to add some distinction.
Yeah.
Because if you use house for something else, and there's like a bed in the room with the crate, she's going to get confused as to which one to go to.
Okay.
Okay. So here, what we're going to start off with first is what's your number currently?
I am at
30. Let's go down to 18. Because whenever we teach anything new, we do go down low. And we're going to start with Rosie at your side. We'll be about a square or a foot away from the dog bed here. And if Rosie goes there on her own, we're not going to allow her. We're going to hold her back. And we're gonna keep her at our side. And you're gonna start tapping first, about 1 to 2 times. And if Rosie doesn't move forward, you're gonna keep tapping. And then you're gonna apply a little bit of leash pressure, guiding her to the bed. Once all 4 paws are on the bed, we're gonna stop tapping. If Rosie overshoots it or gets on and then hops off, you're gonna start tapping again, and then use pressure again to guide her back to the dog bed. Okay? Tap, tap, tap. A little more of a pull. Tap, 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 tap. And right there. And give quiet praise. Good girl. Good. And you're gonna say break and move it backwards. Here, Rosie. Break. Good. We're gonna repeat that 4 more times.
Is that too high, or she's just like?
No, so what happens is a lot of dogs, because this is unfamiliar to them, they tend to freak out and go back. So since he's telling her go forward and her brain is telling her to go back, we're getting conflicting, and then that's what's creating that anxiety.
Okay, perfect.
Good. Good girl, Rosie. Good. Girl. Good. And break. Break. Good. And do it 3 more times. Good, Rosie. Good. Girl. Break. Good, Rosie. Good. That just sounds like 1 tap. Is that correct?
I haven't tapped her since the first time.
Oh, okay, so here, you want to make sure you tap first before the pull, because we want the tap to be what triggers the movement forward. Okay, break. Good. And then relax a moment. Good girl. Do a couple more with the tap. Break. Good. Good girl. Right, good. Girl. Break. Good, and 1 more. Good. Right, yep. Good. Right
So
there.
is he putting some pressure onto like
Yeah. So what we're doing is we're conditioning. So for the last couple of weeks, tap is meant be at my side or put your butt down or don't do that, right? Now we're teaching tap means to go somewhere.
Okay.
Okay, so here we start with the tapping first to see what does a dog do. Some dogs, if they're already familiar with going to a bed, will actually just go there on their own.
Okay.
Other dogs will know what to do, so then we kick them the pressure that tells them they're supposed to do something, and the leash comes in after the fact to direct them on what to do. Okay, if they can't figure that out.
Right. Because again, the leash, we don't want to rely on the leash.
Correct, right, and then eventually we end up weaning that leash off again, so it's the tap that gets the dog to send. Okay, so the reason why we do this is as a form of correction if she tries to break off. Thank you. When we tap her, she's gonna know to go back to the bed. Okay, so it's not as simple as teach the dog what to do, and if they don't do it, you correct them. You have to use the pressure to teach them what to do first. Okay, otherwise they have no idea. So what we're gonna do now, same concept, but you're gonna walk around and send Rosie from different angles. Okay, you're gonna keep it still at about a square or so away, but you'll send her from like here. You can send her from here, but at different places. Because for dogs, they're creatures of habit. So like, let's say you always send Rosie from that direction, and then one day you send her from this direction, you would most likely see her walk around and come from this direction. Okay, so we just start to teach them to generalize, like, you know, go to bed means go from where you're at and not.
Should I be saying bed?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's still you're gonna come to a stop, you're gonna wait a moment, start tapping, give a couple of taps. If nothing happens, you're gonna keep tapping and then pull. Okay? Break, Rosie. Right, good. You're out. That was very little pressure on the leash there. That was good. Break.
Is that her like saying I don't like?
Because she's
that I have
learning
to sit on
something
there?
new.
Yeah.
With her learning something new, when we get anxious dogs, they get in the beginning.
Vocal.
because she's getting stressed because she's learning something.
Okay.
Once she gets comfortable with it,
Yeah.
we won't really see that, but what you'll probably see is the whining from being still for so long.
Okay.
Break.
Right? Good girl. Good girl.
Break.
Yeah, 2 more. Good girl. Good, Rosie.
Break.
And 1 more.
Should we practice with heel with this, or is that like?
No, so here, because if you do heel, like she's defaulting to heel
Yeah.
technically, right?
Yeah.
But it's not a formal heel. Okay. Good. Wait a moment. There we go. So she's defaulting into the heel, which it actually looks pretty nice.
Okay.
But if you start doing plays from heel right now, you're gonna start seeing her assume to go to places. So if she's in a heel and she walks past like an object that looks like a bed, she's gonna assume it and just run there.
Okay.
Okay. Now, as we get further along and we teach more stuff, we'll start blending in more commands and I'll help you learn how to
Okay.
improve them. But in the beginning, I don't do the place from heel, even
Okay.
though she's on that side,
Okay.
so that she doesn't get into that habit.
Okay, that's perfect.
Other questions? So all this is looking good. Let's go to swap handlers here.
Break.
And what we're gonna do is we're gonna start in that same place where you're gonna walk around and you're gonna still start relatively close, okay? And then what I'm gonna have you do is add a bit more of a pause between the stop to the actual sound, okay? Because if you're walking and you stop and you immediately start tapping, every time you stop, she's just gonna shoot there. And we want her to wait
Till
on
I
the
say.
signal. Correct.
So that, okay.
So
So
we're-
just keep walking?
Yeah, you're gonna walk around, and then when you come to a stop, just
Yep.
put a little bit of a random space of time before actually doing the tapping the center.
Will you tell me when to tap?
Sure, so go ahead and hold right there, right? And pause for a second, and tap, 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 and now a little bit of a pull, like that, perfect. Okay, now how you did it was really good, because the reason why I'm not having you move is most trainers, when they teach the place, they walk the dog there, okay? And it becomes a part of the command for the dog, right? So then if you don't lead them, they don't know what to do. So by having you, you're still relatively close, and you're tapping, it's very clear that in response to the tap, Rosie is going from here to here on her own,
Okay.
okay? So I'm just taking out a couple of steps so that we get to because I want to give it a safe place,
Yeah.
and she just goes, right?
Okay.
So here, otherwise she becomes dependent on that walking there, plus the momentum of walking
Yeah.
kind of gets the dog going. And I want them to, so I can just be like, if I'm in the kitchen
Yeah.
making something, go to your bed. Boom,
Yeah.
she just goes.
Okay,
Okay?
perfect.
Go ahead and tell her, break.
Break.
Good for this, one more time.
Is the, should we turn the thing up, the number?
Turn it up.
Yeah.
I think we're still good at 18. Right there.
Second, yeah.
Yeah.
The first time it
Took a couple of
before,
taps.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was just one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Break.
Yeah, 3. 3 more. Wait a moment.
Break.
Yeah. Right. So right there, see how she hopped on, and then her front 2 paws head off, and you tapped, and she retracted. She's learning now that tap means you want to be on this object. Okay, so if she tries to sneak off on a tapper, she should back off into the space. Because if she's not conditioned correctly, what happens is when you tap them, they come off of the space.
Right.
Okay, 2 more.
Break.
She's been really good with that with walking too, where she gets like a foot in front of me.
And
She slows down herself, yeah. Slows down herself.
Break.
Break.
Good, 1 more.
Good.
same concept, but we're gonna send from a little bit further back. So we're gonna go about 4 squares, 4.5 squares back, okay? So you're gonna wait here, and you wanna tap first on the last 2, you did the leash first. So she was actually responding to you going like this and moving as opposed to with the tap itself.
Okay, so tap and then after that, then I put
Then
the leash.
if needed, right?
Okay.
So I'm gonna have you tap about 2 to 3 times, and if she doesn't respond, then you're gonna keep tapping and then pull forward.
Okay.
Now, because we're starting at a further distance, if she gets stuck, as you're tapping, you can move a step forward, but you're just doing it very subtly. You're not just gonna walk her there. Okay, you're gonna take a little step.
Just as step in the right direction.
Yeah, as needed to get her to go, so that we don't condition her to rely on us too much.
Okay.
Okay?
Break. So now tap.
Tap. Tap. Right there. Perfect. Good. Break.
Break.
Good. 4 more. There you go. Good.
Break.
Good. Right.
That was just
Good.
one.
That was one, right. Good. 2 more.
Break.
Right. Good.
Is her like positioning like that? Cause it kind of like she wanted to go to the bed, but like didn't know like if she should stay close to me or.
Yeah, so she's, I'm seeing more so like, so you see how she's positioned and she's just at the edge of the bed here? So what we're gonna see is as we practice this more and she gets more comfortable with it, she's gonna start laying down. Okay, so right now, the fact that she's turned facing towards you and she's so close to the edge is she's wanting to be with you as a source of comfort. So now what you saw was her wanting to be attached to you, but then knowing she had to go to the bed. So that's why you had her kind of like reversing into it instead.
Okay. Break.
Right, we're gonna go full. There you go. Good. Excellent. So now, we're gonna keep it that process, but now once you've sent her, I'm gonna have you start walking around, okay?
Okay.
As you walk around, I don't care what Rosie does, okay? She can sit, stand, or lay down. She just cannot get off of the area, okay? So if you start to circle around and you see her pivoting to keep an eye on you, that's fine, as long as all 4 paws are on the bed. You're gonna complete 1 circle, and then you'll stop, wait a moment, break and release. If she gets off prematurely, you of course, we're not gonna say anything, you're just gonna start tapping. She should go back to the area, and then you're gonna reset your circle and try it again. Okay, because we need her to sit still for 1 full circle before we can actually cue the release.
Okay. Joe, do you wanna try this, since she's more attached to you and looks comfortable?
Almost. That's right, right again. Good. Pause for a second. Break. Good.
So is her heel pretty good because she's like every time you say break, she's coming immediately back?
Yeah. She's
like,
defaulting to a heel, and I can see it as you're walking. It's good. Heel. Now here, she shot there prematurely, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is, go to walk backwards in the pull. And what we're gonna do, because now she's starting to assume,
Yeah.
is if she pull in, tap, pull more straight towards you, tap, there you go. And then wait a moment, and we're gonna wait, tap, up, tap,
Does it need to be up higher?
and then relax. No.
Okay.
So here, when you come to a stop, because we've done this like 20 times now, she's assuming to go to place.
Yeah.
Right? So what we're gonna do now is when you come to a stop, you're gonna give that gap of time. If she goes prematurely, you're actually gonna prevent her. So you're gonna put a little bit of pressure on her, and then and you can counter her with the tap, and what you're saying is, we don't need you to go to place quite yet, okay?
Okay.
But then we're gonna get a little bit of confusion, because we're gonna use tap to tell her not to go, but then we're gonna use tap to tell her to go.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so it's gonna be a little bit confusing for her, but once she starts layering the words, it'll make things a lot easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a reason to like get that type of bed versus like?
No.
Okay.
We got these because these last forever.
Yeah.
These have a lifetime warranty and stuff.
Yeah, but for all the foreign trained dogs.
Yeah. We have so many dogs here that we need something that wasn't gonna get torn up. Yeah, and then relax, wait a moment. Good. No.
I would tell her to go to bed or to keep walking.
Yeah. Good. You go. Good. Put them on the ground. Okay. Good. Good.
So for this exercise, she should only like come off the bed when we say break.
Correct. Wait a moment. Break.
Break.
Good. 3 more. Good. Good.
So what's the way to correct that? Like just the.
What he's doing.
Oh, okay.
Because when he's putting in the leash pressure to counter her, and the tap is saying tap not to do that right now. But
Okay.
she's assuming, right? So these anxious personality types, because she wants to avoid the hit, which I understand, but she's getting really worked up about it, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be real black and white and cut and dry. So we're using the pressure both to teach her to go, but at the same time teach her not to go until
Okay.
we cue it.
Now do we want to go to bed?
Right. Yeah. There's a walk around. So you see how she hesitated there?
Mm-hmm.
It's because we're countering,
Yeah.
right? Because before a tap was sending her
Yeah.
really easily, and now she took like 2 to 3, and she was just sitting there like, what do I do?
Right.
Is this, do I don't go or do I go?
Yeah.
Right. Break. Good. 2 more. There you go. Yeah. There we go. Good. Yeah, and all that stuff is normal.
So in this exercise, like, is this different than the walking exercise in terms of like if she's not going to respond after 3 times, we don't turn it up?
Oh, sure, because right now we're teaching something new.
Okay, so it's just going to be,
I'm just giving her a little bit more of a window.
Okay.
Because I can see that she
is responding.
can respond to it, but because we put more rules, it's a little bit more confusing.
Okay.
So I'm giving her a window in terms of
Yeah.
the tap roll. But like, let's say, once I see she's got a good concept,
Yeah.
then that tap roll kicks into play.
Okay.
So like when we taught the heel, we broke out of that 3-tap rule,
Yeah.
but once she had the concept, then we put it
Okay.
in. You see she's just starting to kind of feel like she wants to lay down.
Break. Break. Break, Rosie.
Move back and tap.
Should I hold on her?
Yeah, tap. There we go. Good. So what we're gonna do now is this is looking good, is we're gonna go and start adding the verbal cue.
Okay.
You guys use the word bed?
Yeah, I think we can use bed.
Yeah.
So what you're gonna do is everything's gonna stay the same, except you're gonna cue the word bed first. Once you cue the bed, then you're gonna start the tapping, and then she doesn't do anything, then you're gonna keep tapping, and then pull, okay?
I have a question just about like bed or place.
Mhm.
Like when we are, like technically speaking, do we like use her bed and then like the doormat and like another bed? So is it better for us to teach place so she's just like all of these like locations are place and to like go there, or like what do you recommend?
So you can either do 3 different objects with 3 different names,
Okay.
or you can do an object in 3 different rooms with the same name, or you can have her bed be her bed, and like the towel be the towel because you're a human and you know what
Yeah.
those things are. But for her, it doesn't really matter. Now, if you have 3 places in the same room,
Yeah.
it's either going to be different names,
Yeah.
or same name, but you're going to point to which one you need her to
Okay.
go to within that room.
Okay.
So we do bed and then point to the bed.
Yeah,
Next
and
to-
then
next to
that.
the people.
Okay.
Yeah, and put in their houses are great.
Okay. I like that.
Good. She sees the rectangles. She's like, I want a rectangle. Bed.
Good. Good.
Have her come off or just walk
We'll do a
around?
quick walk around. Yeah.
And this will like, this exercise too, we can use like throughout the day to like just implement more structure too.
Right. I think you had asked me during the consult or something, I could get started doing
Yeah.
something similar.
Yeah.
Except, originally, I think when we did the consult, I had taken her,
Yeah, you just told me to put her down.
Yeah.
Which was great, because,
this one is similar, except this is on
Bed.
the actual
Bed.
overview.
Bed.
Good. Tap, 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 right there. Tap, tap, tap. And it's almost, there you go. There you go. Good. No confusion. Good.
Break.
Just 3 more.
Bed.
Good.
so tap and then bed.
Bed, then tap. Because so technically, cueing the word bed is like the warning.
Yeah.
Right? Go to your bed or you'll get tapped.
Okay.
Yeah.
Break.
Good. 2 more.
Bed.
Good. Now, did you get a chance to tap there?
I didn't.
You did?
No, I didn't
Good.
tap.
So that is technically correct.
Okay.
Okay, so here, the reason for bed tap and keep tapping and then add leash if needed, tap, tap, is for creating a sequence.
Okay.
When I say bed, you're gonna get tapped. If you move fast enough, you don't get tapped.
Okay.
Right? So right there when he said that and I saw her move immediately, I go, he probably didn't tap because he saw her going.
Okay.
So she's learning she can beat the punch.
Okay.
Okay?
So, but if she gets off, we're not gonna say bed, we're just gonna tap.
That is correct.
Okay.
So for a dog, and this is a very common problem.
Yes.
It's a tiny little detail. And people say, Jesse, I send my dog to their place, but they keep getting off.
Mm-hmm.
And they won't stay put longer than 5 minutes. And the first thing I ask is, are you repeating the command? And they say yes. And I go, that's why. Because you're resetting. Okay, so you say bed, she gets off, and you say bed again. So she goes back.
Okay.
Right? And you're gonna have that cycle because nothing's telling her, don't get off.
Okay, so it's bed, and then if she does it, then there's no tap. But the second she gets off, it's tap, and then
No.
there's no command because she just has to learn. Just stay on the bed, and you won't get tapped.
That is correct.
Okay.
Stays there until we say
Until we say break.
the B word.
Yes. So every command that we say,
Is
stay,
one.
down, break, technically even heel in the recall, have an implied stay.
Okay.
Do this
Implied
until I say you're done.
Okay.
Okay, so when we say bed, it's go there.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he would create an implication is when she tried to sneak off, he tapped her, so she goes, oh. He said bed, I avoided the tap, but when I tried to break off, I got tapped
Okay.
with no warning.
Yeah.
So if I want to avoid the tap, I don't get off.
Okay. Can we touch a little bit on this in this lesson, just about like stay and like staying put when we say stay, or like when we say sit, stay, and like don't move? Do you know? I mean, that's like, I know that's what stay means, but like
So,
she's like always ready to like lunge. And
yeah, so what we'll do is we'll do one more,
Okay.
and then we'll touch on that. Okay? So go ahead and walk around, or I'm sorry, yeah, walk around, we'll keep break, one more set, and then we're gonna do something different.
I know that sounded so silly.
Yeah, right there. So remember that part right there, okay? Break. Good. Great, good, good. Bang. Now here, what you're gonna do is go and walk around, and then you're gonna have a seat. I'm gonna have a seat as well.
You want me to sit?
How do you sit there? How do you sit there? Okay, so your question. In my theory of training, we don't say stay.
Okay.
Okay, so we have sit, down, place, heel, and come.
Okay.
So heel, walk with me, stay with me,
Okay.
sit when I stop, right?
Yeah.
So there's technically a stay there.
Mhm.
For recall, once we get there, would be come to me,
Mhm.
stay with me until I give you permission to go play again.
Okay.
Okay? So the only time we ever say the word stay
Mhm.
is when the dog is actively in the position already
Okay.
of their own accord.
Okay.
Meaning, if we say bed, we don't say stay.
Right.
Bed already has it implied. Go to your
Okay.
bed and don't move.
Okay.
Right? And he was creating that implication by when she would try to sneak off, when he tapped her and she went back, she went, oh, I can't get off.
Okay.
That's the stay.
Yep.
So let's say you're at home, now that we've formally taught the place your bed command. If Rosie were to be on her dog bed, on her choice, she can get off of her choice,
Okay.
right? Because we didn't tell her to go there. However, let's say she's on her bed and they go, oh, you know what? I actually need you to not move.
Yeah.
Right? Other trainers would say like, well, take your dog off and then say bed,
Mhm.
right? Which makes sense because the dog has to go there in order for the command to trigger.
Mhm.
Okay, so, but for us, if I've already taught the place command, I teach stay as, okay, now you don't move,
Okay.
okay?
Yep.
So it's like, growing up, I could go to my room, go to
Mhm.
my room whenever I wanted. But sometimes, my mom had friends over, and she didn't want me to embarrass her, so she said, Jesse, go to your room.
Okay.
That was different,
Yeah.
right? Because I was under her command, I
Yep.
had to go to my room and stay in my room until she gave me permission to come out.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, or maybe I was already in my room.
Yep.
Just like, hey, Jesse. She's
Stay.
like, stay in your room.
Okay.
Because my friends are over. I go,
Yep.
okay, mom, right?
Okay.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Now, it's not the end of the world if you say go to your bed and then you say stay.
Mhm.
I just don't teach that,
Yeah.
right?
I like the implied stay better.
Because the problem with adding the stay is people will use that word like they abuse it.
Yeah.
Like stay, no, stay.
Yeah.
Don't, no,
Okay.
stay, right?
Yeah.
But here, I want to remove words as much as possible,
Yeah.
and I want the tap to happen.
Okay.
So in the beginning, remember how anxious she was?
Yeah.
And I said it's because she's learning something new.
Yep.
We're putting her under pressure, we're putting a lot of rules and things. So now that she's gotten a good concept, she was actually getting much calmer,
Right.
right? And she wasn't as panicky when she was going over and he was countering her. She actually, that last one was good, she came over and
Yeah.
sat down, but she wasn't like, oh my God,
Yeah.
because we worked her through all that stress,
Okay.
So for her, you know, I mean, it's kind of like, you know, if you have a test, like back in school, if you have a test or a quiz tomorrow and you like last minute cram stuff because you're
Yeah.
stressed, right? You're just trying to get it done. Same thing for her. She's under pressure,
Mhm.
right? So she's getting stressed out and she's having to learn everything, but she has to in order for it to, of course, become reliable.
Mhm.
So here, you can still see that she's uneasy, okay,
But it's less than
before.
before.
So, to give you an example, a year ago, we had a 4-week boarding train, a Black Russian Terrier come through, 150-pound dog, who was barking at his owner, and he would just jump up and like bark in her face. A very loud, demanding dog. And he did whatever he wanted for that first year of his life.
Mhm.
He comes here. We teach him place, And for our boarding trains and stuff, because we're here all day, training all day,
Mm-hmm.
they do a lot of duration work, about 6 to 8 hours.
Okay.
Broken up into chunks throughout the day. So the first week when we sent him to place, he was standing the entire time. Every time he was in place, he was standing.
Wow.
And salivating and panting, right? Because he had never been told to do something, and he didn't know how to relax.
Right.
That's why he was barking at his owner, because he just needed constant attention,
Yeah.
right? So after a week, he finally started to sit down, because the brain and the body starts to get exhausted. They can only be in that state of anxiety or stress for so long before it has to kind of rest.
Mm-hmm.
So then after a week, the dog finally sat down. It was a big deal here.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, look, Jaeger's like actually sitting down now, right? About 3 to 4 days later, he started to lay down. Okay, so then he was laying down, but then he was still salivating. And about 2 weeks in, he would lay down and fall asleep. Okay,
Yeah.
but because we pushed it so much,
Yeah.
he had to get over it. If we would have done like short 15-minute sessions, that dog would have most likely never gotten over
Right.
the concept of not moving. Okay,
Okay.
because he was used to doing whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
Then he came here and he's like, nope, you're gonna sit still for the next 2 hours,
Okay.
right? And that caused him stress, and he had to learn how to deal with that and accept it. Okay.
Okay.
So same thing here with Rosie. You can see how she's not comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So like, let's say we're gonna do a couple things here. One, we can try to push or force the relaxation,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Or we just wear her out.
Yeah.
So like, let's say during this class, she never lays down.
Yeah.
Clearly she's uncomfortable,
Yeah.
here at least, right?
Yeah.
So then when you go home with her, you would just practice this for extended periods of time.
Mm-hmm.
Now the way I teach this is super simple. We have two aspects. We have the send, which is what we're doing now. And then we have the don't move. Okay, so like right now we're actually doing the don't move component. So if I want to watch TV for a bit, right? When I watch, I don't know, Netflix or something,
Mm-hmm.
grab her bed, plop it down next to you, set her up with your leash and her collar, Rosie place, she goes, I step on the leash, and now I don't move for the next hour and a half or 2 hours when I watch
Yeah.
my show or my TV, right?
So we should have the leash on when we do that for the first
At
while?
this stage.
Okay.
Yeah, because what's gonna happen is, she's gonna try to sneak away,
Yep.
you're gonna correct her, but because there's no leash,
Yep.
to limit her range of motion, she's gonna run away.
Yep.
And then you have to chase her around the house.
And yeah.
So that just makes it more work, right?
Okay.
So what we do is we always start the leash on in the house in the beginning.
Yeah.
It makes it easier for us,
Okay.
okay? So then if she tries to run away, I'm limiting the range of motion, like kind of what she did earlier with the chairs and stuff.
Yeah.
She went to Joe, I think, and then you
Yeah.
told her to tap. You were able to do that because of that leash.
Okay.
If we didn't, she would still be tucked in there, and we're
Okay.
having to physically drag her out, right?
Yeah.
So what we're doing is limiting her range of motion and tapping and getting her to figure out that she needs to go back.
Okay.
Okay? Once she goes back, I go back to watching TV.
Yep.
And we don't say bed, right?
Correct. You say it the first time,
Yeah.
and after that, we do not repeat.
Okay.
Okay? Then maybe 30 minutes later, she gets bored, she gets anxious, she wants to move. She
Yeah.
gets off, tap, she goes back on again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay? So then gradually, if you do that every day, let's say you like to watch a certain show, like a certain time every day, whatever, you're practicing that.
Yeah.
Right? And eventually you hit like 5 or 6 days in, she goes there and she's not moving for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Because you've already done all the correcting.
Okay.
And then we slowly start to gradually make it more advanced. Okay? So
Okay.
the first week, dog's right beside us.
Yeah.
We're gonna be there for a while. If you're gonna eat dinner, if you're gonna watch TV, you're gonna work from home, whatever. If you're gonna be immobile for any period of time,
Yeah.
you can do this.
Just have her be, and even just like, if we're not thinking about it, like maybe just this week, like if I'm working at home, like just put her bed down
Mhm.
and just make her stay
Mhm.
so that like she doesn't have the option to like run around or do whatever.
Correct, right?
Okay.
Because I'm gonna make that soup way out, so.
Yeah.
There you
She'll
go.
be-
And when it comes to the length of time, you could literally go home right now and do 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, because just expect that she's gonna try to break away.
Yeah.
But that's how we teach that, right?
Yeah.
So we don't do 5 minutes to 10 minutes to 15 minutes, just right off the
do
bat.
it. Okay.
She's gonna be in your immediate space,
Yeah.
which makes that easier. If you're trying to, keep her across the room and be over here making the soup or whatever,
Yeah.
and she gets up, well, now you have to leave your soup to go do this.
Yeah.
So it's more work, right? So we always start off super easy.
Okay.
At this stage, if you get up to like do something, you would want to release Rosie first.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask next.
Unless one of you can watch her,
Okay.
you would release her first, then stand up, and then go do what you're gonna do.
Okay.
Come back, and then replace her
Yep.
if you want.
Yeah.
Because if you stand up and then release her, what do you think happens?
She's gonna move.
Why?
Just because she's not used to staying in her spot.
Right, but like let's say, because so we release and then we stand, right?
Yeah.
That's how you're gonna do it. But if
Yeah.
you stood up and then released her, what do you think would
She's
happen?
gonna, every time we stand up, she can leave.
Correct, right? She's gonna assume, oh, you're moving, I get to move too. So we flip it to
Yeah.
avoid that problem.
Okay.
Okay? The second week, you can then get up and move, but she doesn't.
Okay.
Because you've done a week of corrections.
Yeah.
That she shouldn't move. It's much easier at that point, right? So if
Okay.
you have to correct her, it's gonna take much less work. By the third week, you can have Rosie off at a little bit of a distance, 4 to 6 feet away or whatever.
Okay.
Still with the leash.
Yeah.
Going into the fourth week, if you've really been practicing and drilling it out, then she can be at a point where she's across the room.
Yeah.
Okay, my advice is still, again, with the leash on. And then
Yeah.
once you find that you're not having to touch the leash, and when you remote, she instantly goes, you're in the clear of not needing to use the leash.
Okay. That's perfect. Is
So-
this the same concept of like sit and stay, like even if like, so say I'm just like, hey, sit down there.
Mhm.
And then like, if she tries to get up without me saying break, it's like, just
Technically, yes. We have to teach the sit with the remote, right?
Okay.
So like, let's say down command. You
Yeah.
say Rosie down, and she knows the down command, she does
Yeah.
it. If she gets up and you tap her, if you've not taught the down with remote, expect that she's actually gonna try to run away.
okay.
Kind of like what she did when he first did
Yeah.
the first send. Remember, she
Okay.
didn't want to go
Yep.
because she had no idea what to do.
Okay,
So-
so right now she like technically doesn't know sit with the remote.
Correct.
Okay.
She knows sit with treats or however you train
Yep.
it, but not with pressure.
Yeah.
So we always, when I get dogs that have been trained already, they're like, oh, the dog already knows down. I'm like, I know they do, but not with remotes.
Right.
And what happens is they try to make their dog do it, and then they see their dog running away
Okay.
because it's not been taught.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, sit, down, and place are all stationary commands.
Yep.
Do this and don't move, right? Place is the most lenient. She
Okay.
can sit, stand, lay down, chew on a bone, play with a toy. I don't care. Just don't get off.
Okay.
I had a client who had an area rug,
Yep.
and he said, "Can this be place?" And I said, "Yeah, but it's just a really big place, and your
Yeah.
dog can walk around and stuff, but it just cannot step off of the area."
Okay.
Okay, so place could not be a corner of a room.
Okay.
Because where does it end, right? There's walls here, but where does it end coming out this way?
Okay.
We need something that has a perimeter. I had a client at St. Bernard, and he kept chewing and drooling on his dog beds, so they're like, we're not buying any more dog beds. So what they did was they took painter's tape,
Mhm.
and they just took the corner of the room and they taped it.
Okay.
And they said, Jesse, could that be placed? I said, yeah, because there's a perimeter. There's the blue tape that marks,
Okay.
don't go past this line.
Okay.
Okay, so it doesn't have to even be an object, it just has to be a defined area that the dog can recognize as, I do not step outside of this.
Okay.
Okay?
That's perfect.
Um,
So is this like this week, like we should really only focus on this? Like we shouldn't, or can't like layer anything else onto it?
Like how so?
Just like maybe the getting off. Like if we, cause we like let her on the couch sometimes, but then other times we like, she's just jumping on the couch trying to play with, like give us a toy and then, running away and then jumping back on the couch, and we just wanted her to like learn off, like no jumping right now.
Oh, you talking about the couch?
Yeah.
Like don't jump on the couch to play or whatever.
Yeah, but like I guess they want it, cause is there a way to like make it where,
She would just be on her.
yeah, I know that's like one way to cure it, but like,
But you're
is there a
talking
way
about-
for us to like, she jumps on it and we're like off and then she actually gets off, / like there's a time where we would let her come on the couch.
Correct, so like, think of the couch as kind of like, it's more of a treat,
Yeah,
right?
Yep,
Sometimes
exactly.
you allow it, sometimes you don't.
yep,
So towards the end, when I cover the correction stuff, we'll cover that as
Okay.
well. Because it's all the same stuff.
yep,
Once you understand the concept, you're gonna go, oh, I get it.
Okay.
And then make it a lot easier.
yeah,
So with the place, the don't get off aspect
Yeah.
is different from the sending aspect, right?
Okay.
So what we did today is you each did about 2 to 3 minutes a day with the send.
okay,
Probably within day 3 to day 4, you're probably gonna see that Rosie, when you say bed, will just run there.
yep,
Okay, once you get to that point, you don't need to practice the sends anymore.
okay,
Then we just apply it,
yeah,
okay? Because that's what that's meant for.
okay,
But the sends don't help the stays,
okay,
right?
Yeah.
Having her actually stay put, like right now she's been here for about 10, maybe 15 minutes,
yep,
and she's not moved, okay?
okay,
To give you an idea of what that looks like. But
Yep.
originally, when he walked around and sat down, I think she kind of moved a bit, and then he tapped her and she went back.
Okay.
And he was able to sit, like that's how we create that implied stay.
yeah. So this week, I guess the other like layering thing that we kind of talked about originally was just the anxiety of like her whining when Joe leaves. So we can work on this staying and sending, but then can we also do that as well?
Yes.
And what does that look like?
So you want to recognize there's two different things.
Okay.
Okay. So if I send Rosie to place or bed and she goes there and she doesn't move and Joe leaves, technically we shouldn't see anything because she is under control.
Yep.
Right? So she shouldn't care.
Yep.
Now, if she does start to whine, what you would do is you would tap on the collar, and what you're going to originally see is confusion. She's most likely going to flush off of the bed, okay? Because she's thinking, oh, maybe I'm not supposed to be here anymore. She gets off. You would then keep tapping with no words until she goes back on again, okay? And then you're probably going to get more whining. After she corrects, I give about a 2 to 3 second window. If the whining continues, I give another tap. She flushes off again. I keep remoting, she comes back on, I wait. I give another 2 to 3 second window. Because she has to differentiate that the tap was for the whining, not because she shouldn't be there. Okay, so that's why there's confusion. She thinks, oh, maybe we shouldn't be here anymore. And then that's why we put pressure on when she gets off, because we're like, no, like, you're supposed to stay there, you're just supposed to stop whining. Okay? So it becomes her reference point.
So should we like give, like, if I know that he's gonna leave or something, should we like put her in place before?
Yes.
Or like, okay, so just to give her a like something to do.
Correct.
Versus just saying like, stop whining, stop whining, stop whining.
You can do both.
Okay.
So there's no right or wrong here.
Okay.
It's just it's what's gonna work within the moment. Like
and
like maybe she's in place and he decides to leave. And that's just how it works out. Or he's got to go immediately, and you don't have time to put her there to get her comfortable first, right? So typically with this, like let's say at 5:30 you're going to have a guest come over. At 5 o'clock I'd already have Rosie in place. Right? You're doing it preventatively. People tend to do it as the dog's out of control. And it's not that you can't do that. It's just easier for most dog owners to have control prior than during.
I like that.
So you can also use place in that context, which is like, oh, we're gonna have guests come over. We don't want Rosie all over them. Place, right? However, if she's on place, your guests come over, and let's say she stays put, she's been a good girl, and they say, okay, Rosie, break. She comes over, starts jumping. Right? Because nothing said, don't jump. You're preventing the jumping because she was on place. Right? So that's still going to be a different topic. Okay. In some cases, the dogs chill out. And when you release them, they don't care anymore and they don't jump. But that's because they've already calmed down. Okay. So that's why it's good to know obedience and behavior. Any other questions about this?
No, I think that we'll just have to practice like being more, like if we can predict when he leaves.
Does it matter who sends her and who releases her?
Your command would override his command, and then his would override yours. Right? So if he places her and then you break her, or you place her and he breaks her, that's fine. And you can even teach a dog to where like they'll only listen to you, and if somebody else is like sit, the dog won't do anything. Yeah. So it can get really honestly complicated, but that doesn't matter. In terms of correcting the whining, okay. Have you heard of a bumper? It's you take a towel and you roll it up. Okay. And you use hair bands or rubber bands to keep its shape. And you bump the dog. Okay. So we need physicality in order to deter things because dogs bite each other. E-collar is really effective and non-confrontational because you press a button, there's contraction. Dog doesn't know where it's coming from, right? But like, if you, in terms of behavioral stuff within the home, you can become too dependent on the collar. Because you're using it for everything. But then when it's not present, she's going to be whining. So that's where it becomes effective to use a tool that's not the e-collar, but will still deter the behavior. Okay. So like let's say she's on her own time and then Joe starts to get ready to go, and the moment you see her get anxious, so like maybe he's getting his shoes on and she's like, hey, where are you going? Boom. That's where you correct. You don't wait for the pacing, because the pacing's already at a 10. You correct the immediate thought of the behavior. So you disrupt the process. And what's going to happen is you keep correcting her and you're consistent. The brain, so there's going to be triggers. Joe grabs the shoes, she gets stimulated or anxious, then the correction. then the brain learns to stop
Yep.
going into that mindset because it's anticipating a correction, right? So we have to create a new thought process. So
Okay.
you'll literally see after you've corrected her so many times, is she'll get his shoes and she'll think about it and then right away move away.
Okay.
Because she's going, oh crap, the correction's gonna happen.
Yep.
So when she moves away, nothing happens. That's what we're trying to teach her, right?
Yeah.
There's no need for you to care this much about why he's leaving.
Yeah.
Okay? So if people look at attachment and think it's cute and like, oh, my dog loves me, they miss me. No,
Yeah.
it's very unhealthy.
Yeah.
And the dogs are under stress and they'll stay stuck like that
Yeah.
if you let them a lot of times.
Yeah.
So anything you don't want. So going back to the couch thing.
Yeah.
If I say, okay, Rosie, up, and she
Yeah.
jumps on the couch, now you can be with us.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe I'm eating hot soup and I don't want Rosie to jump up because I don't want her to spill soup on me.
Yeah.
The moment you see her thinking about wanting to jump up, you would correct her.
Okay.
Okay? So it's couch is off limits
Mhm.
unless we give you the command of up or whatever it is
Okay.
to be invited. Otherwise, you're not allowed on the couch. So it's kind of like a default rule.
Yeah.
You know, so like I'm the oldest of 4 kids,
Mhm.
so my room is off limits.
Mhm.
My brothers and sisters cannot come in the room. But then I might go like, hey, come on in. Like I got a new game to show you.
Yeah.
I can invite them in. But
Okay.
once I say like, okay, we're done, and I kick them out, you're no longer allowed in my room.
Okay.
It's kind of that default rule.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
So anything you don't like, jumping, whining, nipping, chewing, whatever,
Mhm.
jumping on the couch, all that stuff, you simply correct it.
Okay.
And so it's a consequence for something you don't want again.
Yeah.
So if my dogs were on the couch
Mhm.
and she jumped up on it, they would nip or bite her
Yeah.
to say, this is our couch, you're not allowed up here.
Right.
Okay, until they got to a point where they bonded with her, they might go like, okay, like you can be up here with us now. And you can start to see how she's doing this with her legs.
Yeah.
Her mind is starting to
Relax.
relax a little.
Yeah.
And she's starting to realize, hey, I'm actually getting kind of tired of sitting here for a bit.
Yeah.
And that's how we override the brain.
Okay.
Okay?
So part of her anxiety could be like, because I remember you saying that like with the heel
Mm-hmm.
practice, like that could help the anxiety a little bit, just
Mhm.
like to give her more structure,
Mm-hmm.
especially like with walking.
Mhm.
Could this added like place maybe help with that too? Just like to kind of
Yeah, if the
help
brain
with her
is used to,
overstimulation.
yeah, if the brain is used to doing one thing,
Yeah.
so it's a controlled way of doing it.
Yeah.
The ideal way is actually removing options.
Yeah.
So earlier I had a consult, the dog was super excited and
Yeah.
was just jacked up on Mountain Dew like all over the place, right? So I put him on my leash and I
Mhm.
sat the dog down. Again, not sit, but
Yeah.
relax.
But just like how you did with Rosie first.
and he finally fell asleep,
Yeah.
right? And the owner's like, this dog is always all over the place. How'd you do that? And I said, rules.
Yep.
You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. I did not ever say stay or sit.
Yep.
I simply said you cannot do things.
Yeah.
So for her, what's really gonna help that overstimulation stuff is don't do that.
Yep.
Okay? You can disagree with excitement. People tend to feel bad because they're like, oh, but the dog's happy. I'm like, the dog's not happy.
Yeah.
The dog's excited.
Yeah.
That's a totally different thing.
Yeah.
So like, let's say, when I come into my home, my dogs are excited to see me, but
Yeah.
they're calm excited.
Right.
Right? Because I've corrected the jumping and all that stuff
Yeah.
way back then when they were pups.
Yeah.
So they've learned, oh, you see dad, we're happy to see him, but we're still chill.
Yeah.
And my puppies, even at 2 months, were calm puppies.
Yeah.
Because I corrected barking, whining, chewing on things.
Mhm.
So as I removed all these options, the puppies were like, okay, well then all we can do is chill.
Chill. Yeah.
Okay?
So like for this stuff like barking or jumping,
Mhm.
is there a command or is it just tap?
Just correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, okay, good question, make it a little bit more specific. If you want to eliminate it, we just correct it, no warning.
Yeah.
Okay? So like, let's say jumping on people.
Yeah.
I don't want the dog to jump on people, period, because they could knock someone down, right? So we just correct that no warning.
Yeah.
Because if you say off and then you correct, technically she can jump until you say off.
Right.
That's
okay.
how dog learns.
I like that.
Okay, so then we would correct no warning, so the dog thinks in order to avoid the warning, I just don't do it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So the same thing for the couch. Like you aren't allowed up until we tell you
Correct.
up.
Yeah.
So
And
maybe
then-
you have a command for like up on the couch or
Some of your
something.
best friends.
Correct.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if you cue her up, you then have to teach her off.
Okay.
Okay?
But that's like an off command to get off the couch, not to like you try and come up and then I tell you off.
Correct.
Okay.
It's because it would be unfair for her to
Yeah.
go up and then you not to like kind of correct her out of anywhere, like nowhere, because she doesn't know, right?
Yeah.
You have to say off, and then once you've cued off, we would correct her at that point because now the couch is off limits.
Okay,
Okay?
got it.
Any other questions?
I don't think so. Oh, with the place and like sending her, if she like does, if we do 3 taps, like if she gets off and we do 3 taps
can
and
do
she
the
doesn't
bump.
get back on, then we're bumping it up.
Correct. And you can go in subtle bumps, 18 and 21, 24.
Yeah.
Because it's indoors, it's quieter environment.
Yeah.
She was actually doing well on 18.
Yeah.
You know, even for the corrections, she was going back and she was progressively getting better.
Yeah.
So expect that your number for place for the sends may be lower.
Okay.
Where it might escalate is when she's trying to sneak off.
Yeah.
Because now she's like actively like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So then you have to combat that and you may need more power there. But it would still be subtle
Got it.
jumps.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I think that's good.
All right, guys, I got one right after you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Want to cue her to break?
Frick.
Break. Good.